Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on the male perspective. The podcast that's all about dispelling stereotypes and shining a light on the rich and varied experiences of Black men from all around the world. Each episode aims to broaden understanding and foster appreciation for their unique stories that often go unheard. Now, here is your host, Lana Reed, to introduce you to yet another remarkable Black man with an insightful perspective to share.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reed, and today on this day, it's a wonderful day. I have the opportunity to sit down with a gentleman by the name of Cameron Miles. He is the founder and director of Mentoring Male Teens in the Hood out there in Baltimore, Maryland, doing some amazing, impactful work with our young people. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with him today, learning more about what he's doing. But first and foremost, sir, as I always do, I take a quick moment to pause and say thank you to you for making time for me today. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we cannot get it back. And I truly appreciate you setting aside this time to sit down and chat with little old me. And with that, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Thank you for giving me an opportunity, and thank you for making time.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that I always do as I prepare for these interviews is spend some time on my guest websites and look around and see what you're up to. And today is no different. I did that with you. And I'm by no means well-versed in the mentorship space, but one of the things that struck me immediately when I was looking at the work that you're doing is that your program is very unique, very one of a kind. I'm not sure how many people out there doing work similar have designed a program the way you have. And you've also been at this for some time now. So I guess I want to start off today, our time together at the beginning. What makes a man say to himself, you know what, I think I'm going to gather up some kids and see what I can do here in Baltimore? What started this journey?
So again, thank you, Ms. Reed, and thank you for the question. In 1996, I worked at the Maryland Department of Social Services as a foster parent worker. Young men and young women would come in the building with their caseworkers, and they were just out of control. They're angry, family has been disrupted. So for whatever reason, they're coming into the system. Many of them were cursing each other out, cursing their workers out. They were fighting. They were just out of control. And I just thought to myself, you've grown up in the city, you've seen a lot of things, you've been through some things. I haven't always been who I am now. I've been in trouble before. I said, let me write up a proposal and see if the leadership will allow me to use space in the cafeteria on a Saturday. Young lady by the name of Miss Margaret Cook was the director at that time, and she approved it. So we started in 1996 with 5 boys, and I wanted to do a group model because I wanted our young men to respect one another, to learn to get along with one another, even though they might not live in the same neighborhood. You gave our name when you started out, and a lot of people will criticize me. Well, Mr. Miles, that sounds thuggish. It's not meant to be thuggish. Hood is just short for neighborhood, but when you're dealing with young people, you have to have catchy names and do catchy things to gain and get their buy-in. So I just want you to understand it, and whoever your listeners are to understand it. So we started with 5 young men, group process, and every month it grew. We were meeting once a month, and to jump 20, we're in year 29, we now meet the first and the third Saturday of every month. We have tutoring Monday and Tuesday in the evening that's done virtually by a certified teacher. We have a STEM camp that runs during the summer for 5 weeks. So we've tried to do some things across that span of time. Program is not perfect. We've lost seven or 8 to gun violence. That troubles me. So I keep a copy of every obituary so that it helps me to keep my focus. We've served over 3,200, but I wish we hadn't lost any, is the point that I'm offering. I hope that begins to answer your question.
So,
And I can take you to each place, each location, if at some point you want me to do that, because we didn't stay at the Department of Social Services in that space.
so where are you now?
So now we're at a church,
Okay.
𝗵𝗫 Baptist Church, and they have what is called a Family Life Center. And they've carved out space within the Family Life Center for me to have a room to hold the meetings, and have given me an office. So I want to say thank you publicly to Dr. 𝗟𝗀 𝗍𝗃 Jr. and the 𝗵𝗫 Baptist Church, because we've been there the last 11 years. So when we left 3007 East Biddle Street, which was the social service building, we went to a place called Genesis Work Matters. I met the executive director of that particular building. They were trying to build men and teach them work ethic so that they could get a job, be trained, and be able to take care of their families. So the two pieces kind of came together. They said, we can give you space. And I was there probably 4 or 5 years. That was 2211 Maryland Avenue. And then I started thinking about college. Got my undergrad degree at Coppin State University. So I went to the leadership there and I said, I run a mentoring program. We're aware you run a mentoring program. We're aware, Mr. Miles. Everybody knows who you are and what you do. The media has been kind. We've gotten several articles in the paper, some TV spotlights. So I went to the president. They said, we'll give you space. And the thought was, Ms. Reed, that if we're in an environment of higher learning, just maybe some of our young men will want to aspire to go to college, because that's not on the radar for many of our young people. So that's, and then they came back, another president, they needed the space for business. So I went to the church. The church said yes. I've been there the last 11 years. So we're just, I want to be consistent, Ms. Reed. We can't, young people are very impressionable, as you know, and if you say you're going to do something and you don't, it causes another impediment and another level of disappointment, sometimes hatred. I hear, Mr. Miles, I hate my father. And I'm like, we're on the heels of Father's Day. Don't say that you hate your father. That really hurts me. You don't know all the particulars as to why he wasn't in your life, why he didn't spend the time that you wish he did. But if not for him, you would not be here. So let's try to back away from that hate word. So I hope that begins to give you some spectrum as to where we've been.
Yeah, maybe the kids need to reframe that as, I'm disappointed in some of my parents' choices. Yeah. Back to where you're currently located at 𝗫𝗨. Is that where the STEAM camp takes place?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. We have a 5-week STEM camp, and we've added A this year. You're right. We've added art.
Okay.
We're going to do some big things. We'll visit the University of Maryland College Park. They have an awesome robotics program, and that's the wave of the future. Many of our young people, I try to implore them to learn all that they can, because the jobs are going to be getting fewer and fewer, because companies are going to be depending on robots to do things that people did to save money, to cover their bottom line. So if they know how to program and operate those robots, they're still in the hunt for a position making far more than minimum wage. So, you know, we're trying to expose them as much as possible. So we'll do 4 field trips. We'll go to College Park, see the robotics program during the STEM camp. The goal is to do 1 trip per week. We'll go to the Maryland State Legislature, where there's a Black woman in one of the highest positions there, the Honorable Adrienne Jones. She's the Speaker of the House, and she will host us. And I want them to begin to learn the legislative process. Too many of our adults, and especially our children, don't understand that process. They need to know who their delegates are, who their state senator is, who their congressperson is, because those persons have pots of money that could possibly help them to go to college, to go to trade school. We push 3 tracks. We push college. If you don't want to go to college, we push trade school. If you don't want to do that, I'm pushing the military. But what we don't want is for you to sit in someone's basement and play video games all day and smoke weed. So just so you have some clarity as to what we're pushing. So you have two. You have the legislature, you have College Park, and then we want to go to a place called University of Maryland Shock Trauma. I want them to see and understand if they make a poor choice or get with the wrong crowd, this is where you can end up fighting for your life. So we can't see people close up because of confidentiality, but they see people fighting for their lives. The other side of the coin, Ms. Reed, is they're learning about the positions offered at shock trauma. If you're a male, you can still become a nurse. Well, Mr. Miles, I didn't know men could be a nurse. Yeah, they can. Wow. Men and women can be nurses. Yeah. You can be a radiologist. You can be in marketing. You can be in communications. There's so many different areas, but you know, the school exposure doesn't have time to go through that. So where else than the mentoring program to learn about that? So that's the third tour. And then the last tour will be, I don't know, I'm not sure what your professional team is, but our team is the Ravens. And I want to take them to the training camp. We've done that the last 5 years. And many of them aspire to be athletes. They won't all make it.
True.
I don't want to poo-poo on anybody's dream, but I want them to know that you got to learn to read and write. So if you do make it, someone won't snapple,
you got to read your contract. You got to read your contract.
Exactly. You don't want to wake up and you're broke. But don't forget, what if you get injured? What's the backup plan? We need to learn the importance of reading and writing. And truth be told, 1 in 7 million make it to the professional ranks of sports. True. So your chances are greater of being struck by lightning. True. So I want them to have a backup plan. So that's the extent of STEM camp. We'll have different speakers coming in. We'll have different activities. They're going to learn about planting food. Food is becoming more and more expensive. Our lead teacher, Ms. Talia Walker, will be guiding them with plant-based exercises so they can plant food, learn about a garden, and then once it comes to fruition, be able to eat some of that food. So we have a lot of interesting things planned, and we do this over a 5-week period, and our catchment number is 25. So we have 25 young men. I hope we get, I pray that we get to 25. We're at 13 now. People are very last minute in signing up, but that's what the goal is.
Why do it just sounds such a wonderful opportunity? What is the struggle, do you think, to get the kids to come in, or will they just come in late?
I think many will come late, but many people that look like you and I, for whatever reason, Johnny has been in school all year. He needs time to rest. And I'm like, ma'am, sir, with all due respect, we don't have any time to rest.
Thank you.
People, the success bar is being pushed back every day.
Yeah.
There are people that do not want us to do things except take care of them. I feel like we're being pushed back and taken back to a time where there was the house slave, the field slave.
True.
We weren't getting anywhere, and we've made so many strides as a people. The vision for me to start this program, I don't know if you've read this, but was the Million Man March. I was just so impressed in 1996 with all these millions of men, and I mean, everybody was peaceful. If somebody bumped into me, I'm okay with saying excuse me. I wasn't ready to fight. It was just that spirit. Even when when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan asked for donations, even the passing of they had huge baskets. They were passing the baskets. Nobody was trying to stick their hand in a basket. It was just a peaceful, wonderful moment, and that got me thinking on the ride home, on the train. You know, how can I? And then it just, the rest is the vision from God and history, and we've been able to push forward these 29 years.
I'm gonna say it again, but I'm gonna say it right now. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work. Listening to all of that, first and foremost, I'm kind of jealous. I feel like I should, try to be a teenager and come hang out with y'all. They got to do a lot of stuff there. They get to do a lot of stuff. I mean, just some eye-opening opportunities there. That
As you know, exposure is everything.
Yes.
We gotta do these things because what I have found and what I didn't share with you, after I left social services, I ended up coming back and I was a coordinator in what is called the Young Fathers Responsible Fathers program.
Mm-hmm.
To my dismay, the program no longer exists, but we had a curriculum and we were teaching men how to be more responsible. It's not just about buying a $200 pair of tennis shoes. It's about spending quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on the premise of Father's Day coming in a couple of weeks. I want more men to be involved. I bring in men, I bring in women, I bring in Black, I bring in white, but I want our young men to see strong men. We recently had the governor of the state of Maryland, the Honorable Wes Moore. We had the mayor of Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott. And their officers, told me up front, they're not going to have a lot of time, 15 to 20 minutes, and they both end up staying an hour. So, when people see this group, we have no less than 30 to 33 young men at each meeting. And I rule with an iron fist. I don't apologize for that. We use push-ups for sanctions. If Miss Reed is our speaker for the day, they need to be listening to what Miss Reed has to say. Whether you know her, whether you like what she has on, she has some nuggets, she has some information about her occupation, her walk through life that could possibly help you. God gives us 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen twice as much as we talk. And I don't want them to miss anything because I'm not fool enough to think that I can save or bless everybody in the room. It's going to come from different people. Mm-hmm. So if you're our guest and they're playing or having a private conversation, the first time is 25 push-ups. Second time is 50. So in 29 years, I've never given more than 75 push-ups. But the arms start to hurt, and it teaches them that I need to listen, but it's also going to help them in life. Mm-hmm. Because when that employer asks you to do something that you really don't want to do, if you want to remain employed, you need to do it. Mm-hmm. And I believe Nike's slogan is just do it. And many of them are into the designer gear. So we want them to learn at an early age to be respectful, Ms. Reed, and to listen. We want so part of our mission is to be honest, to be respectful, and to model positive behavior at all times to all people. So I'm really serious about this. We're getting ready to take a trip. June is here, June 20th through 22nd. We have our college tour. We've taken them in the past to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Morehouse, Howard, Columbia, Syracuse, Duke, and so many other places. But this year we're going to Bowie State University, which is off the BW Parkway, and we'll also visit Howard University. But if you wait until you get to the 12th grade, sometimes that process can swallow you going to a major, it's huge, number one. And what do I do? Well, who do I go see? So we'll meet with admissions, we'll meet with financial aid. I also make it a point to meet with current students so they can give their perspective to the young men. And even if they don't choose the school that we visit, they know somewhat the process of what they need to do to navigate. We'll also eat in the campus cafeteria.
Good times,
yeah. But the goal is to get them to want to go to college. And oh, by the way, people like yourself send us donations. We send out a letter in June. We send out a letter in December. I think the right thing to do with the donations is to help those young men go to college who want to go. So for every young man, Ms. Reed, who brings an acceptance letter and a schedule, we give the first 10,000. And I think that's the right thing to do with the money.
So you said you've been at this for 29 years. I'm pretty sure you've got some college graduates under your belt.
We have a few. We haven't been able to do this since the inception of the program.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, we've been able to do this. So
but even before the scholarship, you've had some of the men go to college, right?
we've had a couple,
Okay.
but we weren't in a position to give the money that we currently give.
Okay.
So the beginning of the program, I had to do a lot out of pocket.
Yeah.
But that gets old, and then it gets hard for you to pay your own bills. So we became a 501c3. So now I have a board, and it's more intricate. You know, we have an attorney. I just want to do things the right way and make sure that we're around. So it's working out pretty good. We have 2 currently at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. We have 1 at 𝗵𝗺, which is in Pittsburgh. We have 1 young man who graduated from Bowie State University, and 1 young man who finished Rider University. So, and we're tracking 73 right now who are working and are staying out of trouble. And 1 young man that I'd like to highlight, if you allow me, 𝗵𝗳𝗶𝗀𝗃. He was one of the first 5 young men who went through the program and is still with me. He has a son. He went to my alma mater, Coppin State University, got his undergrad, and he just started graduate school in DC at Georgetown in the Global Studies program. He was interested in the Peace Corps. We got a contact. He went and stayed in Ecuador for almost 2 years with a family, and he really enjoyed that. So I'm proud of everybody, but I'm extra proud over what he has done. We have several others who are doing well. Dorian is a computer programmer in Washington, D.C., makes real good money. So we're tracking, you know, we're not tracking everybody. I don't want to be misleading, but we have a core number that we're tracking to maintain and see how they're doing. And they come back. They come back to visit. I have them speak about, you know, what it was like. And they like Mr. Miles hadn't changed in 29 years. He had us doing push-ups. He's still doing that. He's still yelling. He's not doing the right thing. And sometimes, Ms. Reed, I have to use colorful words to get their attention. And if anybody asks you why doesn't he have young ladies, Ms. Reed, the focus is lost when you put the young men and the young ladies together. Johnny is looking at Lanae's body, trying to get a phone number, trying to strike a conversation, and is not getting the message that is being put forth that particular day. Have nothing against women. I don't want anybody hearing or seeing your podcast to think that, but they need to be trained.
It's the reality of it, though.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially teenagers, you know, the hormones are starting to go, and
Correct.
you know, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You have to deal with reality.
And our boys are 8 to 18. I don't know
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's more effective if you do that.
Correct.
Well, let me back up a little bit and ask, because we're hearing about all of the wonderful elements and components of the system. And I read that one of the things for a young person to enroll in the program, they have to show their report card. What are the requirements to get into your program?
So typically our referrals come from Department of Juvenile Services. The school system has an Office of Suspension Services, or they come in voluntarily. So, you know, word of mouth. But I think that the report card piece was important because I don't want young men to give a mediocre effort. The family situation in most of the households that we serve is not such where they can go to private school, where they can get an incentive, because a lot of people are like, you're supposed to do well. We're in a different time. So for every A they bring me in a major subject, and they have to have been in the program, Ms. Reed, for at least 90 days, 3 months. We're not, the first month you come in, you're not eligible to receive money. I want to see if you're going to be committed. I want to see if you're going to stay a while. So after 90 days, your son is in the program. He brings a report card. He gets an A in history. He gets an A in a language. He gets an A in algebra. We'll give money for each of those classes that he receives an A. We do not give money for making an A in gym. You're supposed to make an A in gym. Music, you know, the more harder courses.
Okay, got
giving
you.
money for.
Awesome. Okay. So you said that some of your youth are coming from Department of Service referrals,
Department of Juvenile Services.
Department of Juvenile Services, and Department of Social Services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and there in Baltimore, I'm going to assume that the city is struggling with some issues that many urban cities across America are struggling with in this battle that we're having, trying to save our young people's minds, lives. Um, any suggestions for parents? Because, you know, some of us don't have the option to just move away, right? You know, just move, just go to better day. That's what we have. That's what we're living with. Any tools, because you've been at this work for a minute now, any tools or resources to navigate this parenting experience when you're living in the confines of these urban settings?
So I want to give a shout out to Governor Westmore and Mayor Brandon Scott. They are the current governor and mayor and are able to work together. If things are not working out, I wouldn't know, and I don't think the community would know. They seem to, every time there's a disaster, a heinous crime, they seem to come together, and I think that is showing real leadership. If you, Ms. Reed, have a child, please don't wait until they're 16 to come to Mr. Miles. I think Mr. Miles can walk on water and turn this child around. I need parents and their other programs that benefit by being able to help the child as early as possible. You start 8 to 18. It would be easier if you bring your son to me at 8 than bringing him at 16. I will do all I can for him at 16, but there's so many negative components that I have to unravel and unwind.
True.
Because he's gotten in a certain crowd. He could be smoking weed, he could be snorting cocaine or doing some other things. I don't know about where you are, but here we have a real issue with fentanyl.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that because many of our young people, not all, but many of them think they know more than you and I, and they've only been here 13 years. So I'm just trying to get them to listen, and I'm trying to give them the facts. It's hard enough, Ms. Reed, just being Black. And then you're gonna add a substance to your system. They're gonna take your urine, test it, and it could keep you from getting an opportunity. If you have an alcohol problem, and marijuana's been legalized here in Maryland. I think it's a severe dumbing down of our community, and I can't make anybody do anything. Did I try growing up? Absolutely, I did. But the weed that we experienced growing up is not the weed of today. The weed of today here in this area, it smells like gasoline. You don't know what has been added to it. I just want our young men to be whole and try to have the best childhood possible and be exposed to as many positive people and positive outings so they can do well, because it's going to be hard. And I'll do all I can once they finish to help them, but they got to be able to stand and do for self. They have to learn how to read. We do a newsletter every month, and I have them come up and read it at the meeting so they know what was in it. I told you we send out notices to get donations twice a year, June and December. And next year, maybe, Ms. Reed, you can get on your private jet and come down. And, we'll celebrate 30 years and we'll have a big dinner. And that'll be at the new Shiloh Baptist Church.
30
So think about it.
years.
Check with your pilot and see if they're available.
30 years, little old me in a private jet. Okay. All right. Awesome. So you mentioned when you were giving me those gems right there that you would rather have the child come to you at 8 than 18.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of times, you know, parents, you can have parents doing the best they're doing. I mean, doing a good job. But today's world, I don't envy anybody being a parent in today's times. Because even if you're doing the best you can possibly do, you've got social media and all of these other things going on. And sometimes parents just miss the subtle cues that, hey, I need to turn this car around. any suggestions to parents to what they should be looking for that, hey, my kid is going astray and I need to pay attention here?
Excellent question. Behavioral changes, uh, dietary changes, uh, coming in the house having a super appetite. That speaks to they just got finished vaping or they just got finished smoking some weed. Increased attitude. It's increased appetite. Excuse me. I think that it's very important to go in the bedroom of your child or children and look under the mattress periodically. Look in the drawers. Look in the closet. You'd be surprised. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but people would be surprised as to what they would find.
Mhm.
You got to know who your child's hanging with. You know, you can't. The child leaves out in the morning. School ends at between 2 and 2:30, and they don't come in the house till 9 o'clock. That needs to be checked. And I'm telling a lot of our parents, please stop trying to be your child's friend. Parents should be an adult, a disciplinarian, and we're not there to be their friend. We can have good times and do some nice things together, but the parent has to be the one to say when you're wrong and to offer some level of discipline. And something I'm reminded of that always plays in my head, and I try to tell everybody. And this is I usually charge $49.95 for this, Miss Reed, and I'm gonna give it to you today for free. A child will remember your example, not your advice. So if they see you, Miss Reed, doing something, well, I'm an adult. No. If they see you doing it, they're going to emulate what they saw you doing, smoking weed, drinking. So I just caution people. None of us are perfect. We all fall short, but I just caution them to make sure. Now I'll use myself. If I'm running a program and then the program ends, I've worked hard all week because I have a full-time job, and they see me out on the corner with some other guys drinking, it's okay for me to have a drink, but I think I have to make sure I'm in the right place to have that drink.
True.
I don't need to do it where I'm in front of the young men that I'm trying to mentor.
True.
Because if they look up to me, I'm showing them the wrong thing.
Gotcha.
So
it's all right. So I don't know how old you are, but it reminds me of some of my elders back. Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
Right. That's right.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. Now, talking about parents, I think, and I went way back. I was digging way deep. I saw that you had a workshop for the parents, and I thought that was amazing because sometimes parents don't get to unload some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Very, very important. The last 3 or 4 years, we added the component where parents can come together 3 times a year. I bring in a facilitator. I come up with the topics. So we've talked about drugs. We've talked about depression. We've talked about suicide, hygiene. There are people in the room, Ms. Reed, who have dealt with something that maybe another parent has not dealt with. So they've become therapeutic helpers for each other. So they have a discussion, they learn about the particular topic, and they can help each other. So it's like a community helping one another to heal and raise their children. I don't want, maybe this is not realistic, but I'm telling you what I don't. I don't want to go to another funeral of a child. It's just we'll never know what that child could have become because they got with the wrong crowd, they made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Suicide is very big in the African American community. I don't think it gets the media play that it should, but I bring it up every single month we meet. If there's something bothering you, talk to me or one of the other adults before you leave. Don't leave here angry. Don't leave here mad. If somebody has done something to you that pissed you off, if somebody has touched you inappropriately, we need to know about it so that we can file the proper report to get you some redress or help. I don't want them to go through life hurting, because there are a lot of adults that are walking around hurting because of something happened a long time ago. There are people, Ms. Reed, in West Baltimore where we hold our meetings. For whatever reason, they don't go to East Baltimore. People in East Baltimore that don't come to West Baltimore. That's why it's so important to get out of Baltimore. Nothing against Baltimore, but there's so much more to life. And if you don't get exposed to it, if you don't know how to conduct yourself in a hotel, we don't own the hotel, we're guests in the hotel. We got to be respectful of the other people staying in the hotel. When we go to restaurants to eat, what fork do you pick up? What do you do with your napkin? All these things are things that will help them with life. We have ties. A lady just gave me a bag of ties last Sunday, and we want to teach them how to tie a proper tie. Having on that shirt and tie will give you extra points in that interview, opposed to walking in a nice white t-shirt or just a polo shirt. First impressions, Ms. Reed, are lasting impressions. And I believe in these things. I served in the military for 23 years. And, I just think that we should push these kinds of things and be consistent with it. If they know, if Mr. Miles says we're going to do something on Saturday, unless God takes me, we're going to do it. Once a year, we go to a professional basketball game. We go over to DC to see the Washington Wizards because Baltimore doesn't have a team. But many of their families, if not all, can't afford to go to a Wizards game. We don't sit in the nosebleed seats because if I go to a game, I'm not sitting in the nosebleed seats. So why would I put them there? So we sit relatively close. We make sure that every young man gets a food voucher because our young people are hungry. But we try to have a good time. In November, we have a Thanksgiving dinner. The church, the men of the church, they take care of preparing the turkeys. And we want to be inclusive, Ms. Reed. So every family, we ask every family to bring a dish. And after the meeting, we sit down and we have a fellowship. So it's a good thing. It's
amazing work. Amazing work.
We take pictures, we document everything, and we try to have a good time. But there's a serious event, but there's also, we want them to have some fun as well.
Doing some amazing things. And before I forget, because my mind can get distracted, the world likes to say some very disparaging things about our young Black men. And you have done something very phenomenal. You put a whole bunch of them on a bus and taken them to some amazing places. I saw that you took them to Memphis. No incidents?
None.
Well, what else? Where else?
Sometimes young men may be talking, Ms. Reed, while the presenter is talking. So we're not a utopia.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect program, but we've had no serious incidents.
There you go.
Last year we went to Alabama. That was the first time we had been, as a group, had been on a plane. And they got to see Tuskegee University, went to the Civil Rights Museum, just got to see some really important things. This museum in Alabama, it depicts slavery from its infancy. You see children in chains. You need to have that experience because I haven't read anything, Ms. Reed, but I believe that there are people in leadership that want to take us back to that time. So we really need to be careful and appreciative of things at our disposal. I'm trying to get them to read more. We spend a lot of time in front of that idiot box and playing those video games. And a lot of the video games, Ms. Reed, teach young men to kill. And I think that causes them to act it out when they go out in the streets. To his credit, the mayor of Baltimore, the Honorable Brandon Scott, has been successful with the leadership of the police department in bringing the numbers down.
Awesome.
So they're not as many. One is too many, but the numbers are going down as far as Black men killing each other.
Okay. So I guess speak to that. What is Baltimore getting right about decreasing the numbers for our youth in that area? What has been so successful?
I think that reaching out to foundations, I'll use Baltimore, the Youth Foundation. They put together a nonprofit that gives money to nonprofits. So that comes out of the budget.
Okay.
So different nonprofits they're looking more at the entire community and youth specifically.
Mhm.
So there are many nonprofit programs who never received funding. Like I told you, I depended on individuals. And now I get a couple grants from the Baltimore City Youth Foundation, WBRF, West Baltimore Renaissance Foundation. We have a grant writer. So we weren't able to do those things. I believe that has a lot to do with it. And then there are groups. The We Are Us. We Are Us is a program in Baltimore, and they hit the street and they walk to the rougher neighborhoods and walk through and talk to people who may be challenged and try to help them with getting off drugs, getting employment. They squash beefs. There's a beef, and so there are a lot of different things going on. There's a partnership with the Nation of Islam. So all of these things coming together is groups of people coming together to make things better.
Okay.
So I think that's really a major thing that has helped. But you got to be willing to be helped as well. You got to have that open mind and open spirit. But the mayor and the governor are very progressive in helping people, but especially young Black men.
Baltimore is getting it right. Baltimore is getting it right. Okay. One last question before I ask you my random question. Because you mentioned if your kids have any problems, they can reach out to you during the school year. I know I heard you say that you have virtual tutoring, but how many times do the kids come in contact with you? Is it a twice a week program during the school year, or?
So the tutoring takes place on Monday evening from 5:30 to 8, and from Tuesday evening from 5:30 to 8. And all they have to have is a laptop. The physical meetings are the first and third Saturday from 9:30 to 1:30. And after every meeting, we serve lunch. Now, there may be a field trip in between those meetings, so that would be an extra occurrence. But we meet with them at least physically, face to face, twice a month.
And I'm assuming you, just being the man that you are, if any of the kids say, Mr. Miles, I'm having a problem, they can reach out to you.
Everybody's got my phone number, and I get a lot of calls, and I'm glad you said that. Every single Tuesday, 365 days a year, I'm at church in my office from 5 p.m. once I get off my full-time job until 8 p.m. And that's the time we have Ms. Reed for intake. It's called intake. Caseworkers can bring a young man by. Parents, aunties, grandparents can bring a young man by and sign him up for the program or have a conversation, because we make referrals for mental health. We make referrals for substance abuse. We have to talk about it, and we have to address it. If you have a problem with your son and your husband or significant other, for whatever reason, is not in the home, we need to have a conversation. And sometimes both parents are in the home and still can't control Johnny. So sometimes someone who is outside of the family can say the same thing that the people in the family said, but the child takes it a different way. So we want to make sure, and I'm very big on mantras. Every meeting I have them repeat after me. I am somebody. I am a king. I love myself. If it is to be, it is up to me. For good, better, or best, never let it rest until my good gets better and my better gets best. I love myself. A setback is a setup for a comeback. Failure is not an option. Those kinds of things, Ms. Reed, I believe, permeate the subconscious mind and hopefully will win out over the devil when that opportunity, that negative opportunity, comes upon you. Mr. Miles said failure is not an option. I don't need to hold them drugs for
there you go.
Drug dealer.
So
again, I'm just doing my small part, and any way you can help us, we'll be glad to take it. The only thing I don't turn down, Ms. Reed, is my collar.
There you go. There you go. Well, there might be some people out there listening to Mr. Miles and say, you know what, I can't take on what Mr. Miles is taking on, but I want to some way help out. It might not be donations. I might want to be able to do something. What do you suggest people get involved and active in their community? Because some people say, I can't, my little efforts won't change. My little efforts can't help anything.
If 3,000 people, Ms. Reed, gave me $1, that's $3,000. Every time we get a bus, it's $550. That's 6 trips.
Awesome. Okay.
So please, to your audience, to your listeners, nothing is too small. I am grateful. I send a thank you for every $5. It's a gentleman, Ms. Reed, if God is my witness, he sends $5 every month. And I send him a thank you because I'm grateful to get that $5.
That's lunch for some of the kids
a year more than I would have had.
Yeah.
Then people send us, more than that, and I'm grateful, but everybody receives a thank you. So, if they decide that they don't have money and they want to get involved, there's many programs. You just go to the website where you live and put in mentoring programs. The majority, if not all, will have them do a background check. Nobody works with me unless they've had a background check because there's just too much going on.
Yeah.
And I work too hard to get it to where it is, to let it go down the drain because somebody hasn't been honest. And everybody is not in a position mentally to work with young people. You gotta know how to handle young people. You can't get mad just because they say something or do something that you're not used to or you feel is wrong. We gotta talk to them. So I hope that answers your question.
No, yeah, it does. It does. I said I have one more question. I lied. Listening to you talk, it's very familiar to me, your style of pouring back into our young people, but we're in a new time and day now. And some of the younger parenting styles are different. Let me just say that nice as possible. Is there pushback sometimes because you seem to be old school?
I don't get a lot of pushback. I tell people when I first meet them, I'm a disciplinarian. I do things a certain way. If you want me to help your child, I'm not changing. And I also tell them, Ms. Reed, that I'll do all I can to help your child, but this may not be the program for your child. So everybody that reaches out doesn't bring their child. The majority do, but I don't want to paint a utopia again. Some decide they're going to go somewhere else, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to do a good job with the young men that I have, and I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to expose them to people, and I'm going to expose them to knowledge and a good time. You stay in a hotel. When they're in the hotel, they can go in the gym, they can go in the pool if I'm present. Because I don't want anybody to drown. I'm very big about that. I have the CPR training, so we're very careful, and I thank God I have good people, responsible people around me that are helping and watching. But I hope that the young people see that my yes is yes and my no is no.
Awesome. And I think that's impactful and effective. You start to tread some very dangerous water when, like you said earlier, if you're trying to be a child's friend, when you're in a caregiver or a parental role, it's just, I think it's responsible for what we're seeing today in some.
And they'll resent it, Ms. Reed. They'll come back to you thinking you're their friend opposed to their parent and curse you out because of the tact that you took in dealing with a scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and one of the things I always like to tell people is, especially for us raising Black children, we don't have the luxury of being lackadaisical when raising them, because the world we're putting them out to is not going to be too kind to them, and we have to prepare them at home. So, I embrace the work that you do and how you do the work that you're doing. So I just was thinking that there's this new school of thought when it comes to parenting that might be different than that.
Right.
Let me ask you my random question, and then I'm going to ask you to tell us how we connect with you, give donations, pull up on you on the 30th anniversary and all of that stuff. So let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can get one to come through here. What was your favorite class in high school?
wasn't really a class. I was a class clown.
No.
And yes. My parents spent a lot of time coming to the school because I was in trouble quite a bit.
Mhm.
I enjoyed English. I liked writing. I've written several editorials for the local newspaper here in Baltimore, so I like writing a great deal.
Awesome. Class clown, huh?
Not now, but
He turned that one around. All righty, so tell us how we connect with you, give donations, come and check out the 30th anniversary if we want to. Just tell us how we connect with you and reach out with you.
So my phone number, is it okay to give that?
Mm-hmm.
Phone number is 410-852-8013, 410-852-8013. Email is 𝗵𝗺𝗃, M is in mother, M is in mother, T is in Teresa, H is in Henry, @gmail.com. Any check, any donation is appreciative. It can be mailed to Mentoring Male Teams, P.O. Box 6756, Columbia, Maryland 21045. Our meetings are held in Baltimore, but the P.O. Box is in Columbia because it's a safer area for the checks and donations to go.
Okay.
We're looking at the third Thursday in June 2026. I don't have an exact date, but that's when we like to do right now, the 30-year celebration. And it typically is a 5:30 event. We do it every 5 years.
Okay.
It's a dinner, nice dinner. And we have a keynote speaker and some entertainment. And, it's a great event. Is your plane big enough for several people?
What? Let me see here. Does Spirit Airlines fly into?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it does.
I'll be there. And one more question. I'm not familiar with the landscape of Baltimore completely. Is it only teens in Baltimore get to enroll in your program, or does
No,
it?
ma'am. No, ma'am. 8 to 18.
Okay, but they have to be in Baltimore.
We call it teens because at some point they're going to be teens.
Okay, but they have to live in Baltimore though.
Nope, they can live in Baltimore City. That's where the majority come from, but several come from the surrounding counties.
Okay.
The only criteria is that they be between 8 and 18.
Okay, gotcha.
And someone has to get them there, either Uber or parent, family member. We don't have a bus or a van. It's a heavy lift and hard work just to have things put in place so that we do something different each month. As long as the families get the young men there, myself and my staff try to do the rest.
Okay, all right. Well, me and my private plane of Spirit or JetBlue, or what are the budget airlines? we'll come and see y'all next year. Well, sir, from little old me, I just appreciate, I know you hear it all the time, but I appreciate the work you're doing, pouring back into our young people. I think the best thing that they need to hear is somebody has hope and believes in them. So I thank you for being that person. Actually, I know, you have a team, so my gratitude to them too. And, just keep on impacting our future. It's just so needed. It's so needed what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for giving me an opportunity to be heard. I really appreciate it because you didn't have to choose me. And I just hope that some of what I said will be impactful to some family, some person, to make them want to go and start something on their own, to send in a donation or just share what they heard. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reed, and I will see everybody next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Black Men Matter series on the Male Perspective. This podcast is an initiative of Conversations in Color, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to uplifting Black voices. Make sure to check out our website, conversationsincolor.org, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode.